so many people had weight as the only metric of their value. It's if the scale went down, the world was great. And if it wasn't, everything was horrible. And their mood was attached to this man-made instrument of measurement as if somehow it captured the breadth of who they are or the factors that are going into their life. And part of to your frame of experimenting, it really is how do I if I don't like my results, can I change my approach? And that word experiment is beautiful, and I use it frequently because what it says is this isn't this better work. This is, I wonder if this might help. And when you can experiment with things rather than somehow I'm good if I finish the plan and do it perfectly, or I'm bad and screw it. I know I couldn't do it anyway. If I quote fail at it, you start to learn and you don't take it personal anymore when something doesn't work out.
What's up, you beautiful beasts? I'm Katie. I'm on a mission to help humans become their favorite versions of themselves and to strive for overall health by healing their relationship to food and exercise, healing their relationship to their body, and most importantly, healing their relationship to themselves, all without ever having to step on a scale. I have had the privilege to talk to all kinds of different humans who have been through a plethora of experiences just being a human and existing. I believe that every single time someone shares their story, at least one person listening will learn from it, be inspired by it, and maybe, just maybe, even change the entire direction of their life. These are the stories of humans unveiling their beautiful beast. Keep listening. This is the Unveiling the Beast podcast. So I feel like, based off of our email conversation, that we have an obligatory "What's up?" because we were, into that whole beast. Like we're both beasts. Yeah. So what's up?
What's nice to meet you. Yes,
Nice to
exactly.
meet you.
I like your different ways you use beasts to what was it? Unveil and declutter and connect and
Yeah.
pamper and so on. So yeah, it's a nice. It's just kind of you're holistically looking at how do you care for the whole person. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Everything is centered around the beast, which in my programs, the beast is your authentic self.
Uh-huh.
So unveiling the beast is like taking off the layers and programming and all the stuff that we've learned so that
Sure.
we can uncover who we really are. And it's all through, like you said, holistic health. Because people tend to look at health just as what we're eating and how we're moving, and they ignore the rest of the stuff like sleep and healing your mind, and what does the space around you look like? Is it organized in a way that you can, function properly by looking at it? Stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's
No,
where beast comes from.
okay, cool. Well, it's a good frame to just in many different ways you could put it. Be authentic to who you are or deepen your self-awareness and figure out what really motivates you and what do you want to do with this grand adventure of life and many other questions like that. So yeah, it's cool to see you've got that focus related to health because that's really how we approach it as well. And my private coaching business is called True Whole Human. It's all about coaching the whole person and seeing all of who they are rather than trying to reduce them to a lab test or math equation or caloric equation and none of that
Yeah.
really it's just so unhelpful. And once you can see somebody for who they are, who they're trying to become, or help them figure out who they're trying to become, a lot of
Yeah.
times people don't even know that, then you're right, you do unleash a person or you unveil this gem that had been hidden from the world that has so much to offer and just needed their confidence back, their belief in themselves, their belief that their body can heal, or any number of things.
Yeah. I love that. I
Yeah,
feel like we're very aligned in what we're doing in the world. So that's awesome.
cool.
So on that note, Law, can you tell the listeners a little bit about who you are and why you think you are who you are?
Okay, well, let's see if I can do that. So, yeah, my name is Christian Elliott. I am often known as Nina's husband or as one of my kids' dad. I'm a husband. I have 6 kids. I'm kind of professional mutt. I've got a very diverse background. So I got a communications degree, religion theology degree. I got a master's of divinity from seminary. I got personal training, nutrition certifications. I've been a life coach for a long time. And I've been looking at so many different factors of what is health because I had to learn it for myself. My background is I finishing up seminary the last couple of years, I was sick frequently and about to get married and thinking, geez, I'm 27 when I got married and thinking, how bad is this going to be when I'm 50 if this is my state of health right now? And had to just broaden my view of what it meant to have a well-lived life, and health had to be part of it. But then to figure out how to get health back, I've been to half a dozen medical doctors who couldn't help me. They just medicated me. They traded my this pain for a cough. They traded one symptom for something else by medicating me, trying to that fortunately nudged me away from surgery or cortisone or things like you're just too young to have to go through that. And so they were, I don't know that every surgeon today would do that, but those people
Right.
said, we basically can't help you. And so I took a flyer on a chiropractor because one of my wife's bridesmaids went. I'm like, fine, maybe they can help me. Sure enough, turned my world upside down. I didn't understand so many things. This is in 2003. So my paradigm of health shifted from obey your doctor, trust what they tell you to. This is the super scientific way to approach health. No, I just see it as a wolf in sheep's clothing. I see it as a Wizard of Oz pretending to be helpful and really kind of the opposite. And then you see how the nutrition industry has kind of had the same story. It was more or less captured, and it's just an instrument of business, and it's got more lobbyists than most things. And so food and healthcare became big pillars of I had to go deep to understand what is it going to take to get my health back. And so that shoved me into the alternative world. How many other things like chiropractic do I not know about that could
Hmm.
be really helpful? And so exploring those, I've probably been close to 4 dozen healing modalities now that I've tried, just in a some was to get well, but some was just fascinated by, I wonder what this is like. And so I've tried so many things over the years. But after a couple of years of experimenting and learning it and kind of improving my health, it took me about 2 years to really get confident with it. Then it became kind of a hobby. People were asking me, what have you been doing? And can you teach this? Or so a hobby quickly turned about 2005, turned into the first formal business we started related to health, which was just kind of nutrition coaching. And then about 2007, we added fitness. And that made it a legit business because people aren't going to pay you to come tell them to drink water or eat better 3 days a week, but they will pay you to work them out 3 days a week. And that changes things because now they like the regular hit. It's like outsourced thinking. I don't have to plan that. I can just trust somebody else will do it. So that with my holistic experience years prior just led me to say, well, can I get a massage therapist? Can I get an acupuncturist? Can I get a chiropractor? Can I get a naturopath? Can I get other disciplines to work with us? And sure enough, we did. So we grew a business for about 9 years. We had brick and mortar locations where we integrated all of that. And then 2017, we transitioned to online coaching. I just took that experience and running fitness facilities isn't great for family life. I can say more
Mhm.
early mornings, late nights, weekends. It just makes it hard to be a dad or be a husband and be present or
Yeah.
so we switched to an online model in 2017 and then somewhat, I don't know, contentious, tender topics, but I got asked a lot of people asked me about my opinion on the COVID vaccine and should I take it, should I not? And so I just semi-reluctantly wrote an article about my thoughts on why I would or wouldn't get it. So it was 18 reasons I won't be getting it. And it was just in this tone. It wasn't combative. It was just like, this is why I can't make sense of this stuff. And that blew me up into a whole new realm of what else is going on in the world and it gave me so much exposure. I had over 5 million people just read that article on my site. It got shared all
Mm.
over the place. But the coolest thing it did probably was introduce me to a lot of other health professionals or doctors and coaches, people around the world who just appreciated one that I said something and said it in such a kind way, but also I got to start networking with them. And so fast forward, we've started a collaboration of other doctors and coaches to really help people detox. And it started with people who had adverse reactions to the shots. And then it turned into, well, how do we help people just detox kind of anything? Because the more you deeply you look into the shots, like 2 weeks ago, no, 3 days ago, there's an article that came out saying they found 55 new chemical elements in these shots that aren't on the label, including heavy metals,
Mm.
which is just kind of this endless thing of the biochemical whack-a-mole. How do you do that? We had already stepped back and said, we can't play that game if we're going to help people heal. So how does the body detox? How does the body heal? What are the processes it goes through? What are the things that actually poison us? Well, it's not a super long list. It's heavy metals and it's industrial chemicals and it's pesticides and you go, it's unbalanced microbes, but then it's as simple as toxic thinking, which I'm sure you're fully aware of in the work you do.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
somebody's thinking is off, you're really stuck. So we just to sum it up, I'd say that background is a very fast version of the last going on 20 years now, 20
Mm,
21, I guess. And that is kind of where we are today is we just help people detox. We create really personalized, hyper focused or more lifestyle focused detox plans to get them to heal just about anything. But we get to do it holistically and I get to do it with other doctors and coaches and I don't have to think of everything anymore. And it's really great. So
yeah.
that's the story.
I love everything that you're doing. That's awesome.
Well, thank you.
Um, I want to rewind a little bit and talk about, in your words, you said you were experimenting.
Hmm.
And I think that's a vital piece of our health as individuals because, like, somewhere along the way, personal training didn't become personal anymore. It's like, I
Mm.
have this pre-written plan. Here you go. Take it. See you later. And so many trainers don't focus on the individual and like what will work for the individual and experiment with the individual.
Yeah.
And what can end up happening, at least what happened with me in the past, is I became so obsessed with the
Mm.
number on the scale that
Oh,
I
man.
was blinded to everything else I was doing in
Yep.
order to get that number down. Right. So I
Hmm.
was like killing my body in order to shrink it and
Hmm.
make that number go down when in reality, health is yes, what we eat, yes, how we move. It's how we're healing our minds, how we talk to ourselves. Are we getting enough sleep? And so I have, at least in my programs and the people that I work with and trying to heal that piece and being obsessed with the scale,
Hmm.
I say don't even look at your scale and focus on behaviors because
Hmm.
the behaviors, like if your body's meant to lose weight, that's what the weight loss will be a side effect, right?
Hmm. Yes, definitely.
And for those who are not eating enough because they've been on crash diets for years,
Hmm.
the weight will go up and they'll still be healthy. And so all that said, it took experimenting and it takes experimenting for the human to figure out what health means to their body and their mind and their soul. So,
Yeah. I no, I agree. I can't I've lost count of the number of people who had a similar story to you. So I worked as a trainer for about 10 years on the floor, you know, 20, 30 hours a week of putting people through exercise. I mean, so many people had weight as the only metric of their value. It's if the scale went down, the world was great. And if it wasn't, everything was horrible. And their mood was attached to this man-made instrument of measurement as if somehow it captured the breadth of who they are or the factors that are going into their life. I see the same thing currently with lab tests. People put such a disproportionate amount of weight on the test. It's this printout that has a few markers of what your blood was doing at that moment or what was in your
yeah,
stool or your hair or what. And it's so limited in what it can give you. And there's, of all the things that go into your health, it's if you had a giant circle capturing all the things that are factors in your health and you had a plot point for what that lab test could discern, that circle would be so tiny you could barely see it. And it would fit inside that circle. And part of how to your point, how you break out of that fixation. I had some people, I was almost neurotic when it came to their weight, and everything they could possibly do in their life had to come back to how does it do this? And part of to your frame of experimenting, it really is how do if I don't like my results, can I change my approach? And that word experiment is beautiful, and I use it frequently because what it says is this isn't this better work. This is, I wonder if this might help. And there's a freedom to, like you call it failure, just a freedom to find out that there was something that comes before this. That was a big helpful phrase when I was training people. They couldn't do something. I'm like, okay, what comes before that? And what comes before that? And is there something I'm missing about how this person moves or what limitations they have? And when you can experiment with things rather than somehow I'm good if I finish the plan and do it perfectly, or I'm bad and screw it. I know I couldn't do it anyway. If I quote fail at it, and you
Hmm.
just endlessly run experiments, you start to learn and you don't take it personal anymore when something doesn't work out. So yes, I like your frame and I can relate to everything you're saying.
Yeah, and a lot of the I'm gonna put in quotes right or I did three, right or wrong, um thinking is just your judgment or their judgment of outcome or their judgment of how am I trying to put this into words? So like this thing is not working for me. And then they
Hmm.
put the judgment on it that it's wrong rather than
Hmm.
it just didn't work for me. Let me try something else.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think experiment is the perfect word. And it's so worth the time to do it because the time's going to pass anyway. And would you
Yeah.
rather figure out what's good for you and your body, or would you rather
Hmm.
just keep trying to do these quick fixes and become really good at quick fixes?
Right. And which and anybody that's good at quick fixes is going to usually have a short-lived burst of progress followed by a hard crash of what I didn't know when I set out to take a shortcut.
Hmm.
And shortcuts typically just come bite you in the butt. I've worked with I think 4 or 5 people now who've, just thinking of the number, who have had like a gastric bypass, a major surgery to kind of get the lottery ticket version of weight loss. Like, sweet, I'm just going to do this extreme measure and then I'll lose all this weight and life will be great. And what they don't realize is what the gap in there is, yes, you got the weight down in a very short amount of time, but you didn't do the work to become the kind of person who knows how to maintain that.
Hmm.
Didn't do the kind of work of developing the lifestyle that supports that level of weight. And so inevitably, the people that come to me after that surgery have gained the weight back. And talk about frustrating. And if we can step back, what's been one of my shticks, if you will, is just to see if I can find better principles to live by, to step back and say, where have or because I've had so many clients now, I can look at a historical record of what I just kind of loosely call wrong turns in our thinking, where we make an assumption, and off of it's often it's a cultural imprinting. It's a
Hmm.
way that society tells us is how it's supposed to go. And whether it's the residue of the Enlightenment that tries to make us think that we can reduce health to, a variable or two. And if we can just find the smallest variable and we can find there's this one silver bullet somewhere, it's in the Amazon rainforest. If we can just get somebody to come in and make a lot of it, finally all of our health challenges will go away. It's silly when you voice it that way, but that's kind of how we think because we're in the coattails of that way of thinking, and it's hard to shake it off. And there are so many other examples where we have made wrong turns in our thinking, and whether it's a misperception of biology, whether it's a method like the lottery ticket thing, I'm going to do this, or
Hmm.
whether it is a mindset and expectation management and not being taught how change actually works, how healing actually functions. We're used to take pill, headache goes away. Take pill, a few minutes later, I don't feel pain. Whereas healing doesn't go that way. Healing is a process. You break your bone and then take a pill and it's gone. Like it's fixed. It takes a while. And transformation, whether it's weight loss or whether it's reversing autoimmunity or getting rid of cancer or heart disease or diabetes or whatever, takes a while. And it takes
Hmm.
calibrating. And what we hear, unfortunately, in marketing these days are the outlier stories. The person who is at the precipice, they're right at the tipping point, and there's one thing, there's one program going to nudge them over the edge. And you'll see it's less common these days. You'll see the required results not typical asterisks
Yeah.
on the testimony because it rarely is that how does that work that well. But
Yeah.
we get those outlier stories as our frame of reference for where we are, and then we misapply or don't understand so much else that was going on in that person's life to create that story. And so we end up frustrated and hard on ourselves when we had an expectation management issue and nobody taught us real healing or real detox or real strength building or et cetera. So yeah, whether it's experimenting or whether it is just calibrating to realistic expectations and then cultivation of the virtues of patience or discipline or whatever that you need to walk it out. Um, there's there's an endless number of ways to heal the body. And sometimes you just got to, really, all of us, we have to experiment to find our way forward to do that and unveil this beautiful beast inside of us.
Yes, absolutely. Um, Back to your example of, we have a headache, we take a pill.
Hmm.
Um, we're so used to taking the pill that we are not looking for what's causing the headache.
Hmm.
And so sometimes it is physical, and sometimes it can be, well, you have a headache because you're really stressed out, and you're really stressed out because you're trying to do all the things, and you're trying to do all the things
Hmm.
because you are a perfectionist. So let's work
Yes.
on your perfectionism so that you stop getting headaches.
Yes. No, I totally agree with you. The challenge, I'm sure you run into this too, is that people don't want to work on perfectionism. They just want their headache to
Right.
go away. They don't want
Mm-hmm.
to work on like how I got to be overweight in the first place. They just want to do the shortcut to get to lose the weight. And so part of our role, I think, is as much teachers. It is we get to educate on how does the body change? How does the mind get in the way? Where does our storytelling, in other words, how we're framing reality or framing our problem or framing our options, influence the outcomes that we get? And when we can step back and say, okay, the story I'm telling myself is that this is going to be hard, or this won't work, or who am I to try that? Or maybe I probably don't have what it takes. And any number of there's the kind of limiting beliefs, but there's also poisonous beliefs that keep
Yeah.
us from even finding the option because we've ruled out or we've labeled ourselves as something that's, if I had to defend this in court, I couldn't win. Nobody's going to say that you're a stupid, worthless person and you have nothing possibly good you could ever do for anyone. But sometimes the thoughts go there. Hang on, where did that splinter
Yeah.
enter your mind? Because of course you're going to stay stuck if you think that way. And maybe it, I could slow down, and maybe progress won't be perfect. Maybe all or nothing thinking is going to be in the way, and maybe I could entertain imperfect progress. Maybe I can heal this headache or this weight problem or this knee pain or this whatever over time. And I can start to see my body as my ally rather than my nemesis. It's not here because it's mad at me. It's trying to ruin my day. It's
Yeah.
doing the best it can, and it's trying to give me feedback that what you're doing is
Yeah.
not really working.
Yeah.
It's a nudge to say, can we run a different experiment? Can we try a different thing that might be helpful? So anyway,
Yeah. It's
those are some.
protection. It's
It
protecting you.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. To see weight loss or to see weight gain rather as a service your body's doing for you. If the exits are closed, oh boy, here comes more. And we can't get this stuff out. The only
Yeah.
thing to do to keep you alive is put it in storage until such a time as the exits open and the mindset allows healing again and the purging systems come back online and continuing to fight your body if that's the frame people put to it or cheat on it or biohack it. Like there's no positive association with hacking. Look it up in
Right.
the definition of the dictionary. It's all ugly. You want to hack your body,
Yeah.
you want to take care of it. You want to tend it, you want to feed it, you want to nurture it and so on. And that's how you heal the body. But we opt to your point, you have to go upstream and find the mindset that people just they don't, whether it's business, relationships, finances, health, it doesn't matter. Our outcomes are a result of our upstream thinking. And once that clicks, I've got a systems level problem. I'm framing this in a way that is not producing results. Where is that log jam? And it's the investigative mindset, the patient willingness to explore that, where the biggest breakthroughs are waiting. That's what I found, at least. It's fun when
Yeah.
you finally get your hand on it. I'm surgical at this point of finding it, but it took me a while to develop the skill set to do it.
Yeah. So then would this be part of the detoxing that you're talking about, like mentally? Because I know, so here's a devil's advocate question. How do you work with clients to detox? Hold on, how do I want to ask this? So what I'm gathering from you is that there's like the mental detox, right? And the
Hmm.
physical detox
Hmm.
and the everything all around us detox. My brain and devil's advocate question is we have a liver and kidneys.
Yeah.
And so like what else would we need in order to detox the body? Because then my brain goes to like detox teas and weight loss teas that only ever just make you shit yourself. And so
Right. Yeah. No,
So
there's
like, how does that work?
no, there's so okay. So you have, I think, kind of a two-part question. There's the biology of detox,
Uh-huh.
but there's also the upstream poisoning. And to me, there's two things that poison us. There's chemicals or things in our environment that could be medications even, and there's thoughts. And recognizing the biology of thinking, the biology of what you believe, literally. There's a great book called The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton, but looks at how our thoughts translate into the instruction manual for what our cells are supposed to do.
Mm,
And their reception of the instructions from a body that's pessimistic constantly, that holds on to a grudge, that can't let go of something, it's probably constipation, right? That there's certain biological realities from upstream thinking that literally gunk up the works of our physiological systems. And some of the biggest breakthroughs you have people aren't, oh, I finally got you to poop. It's I finally got you to let go of a grudge. I finally got you to have forgiveness. I finally you finally got past imposter syndrome. You finally got past I'm not good enough or I don't have what it takes or I'm not worthy and whoosh, then your body can heal. You let go of the mom wound, the narcissistic parent, the bully from the playground, the whatever. Like we all have our glitches in life and we all end up telling ourselves stories or holding on to tension in ways that aren't serving us. And just this week, I had a client, I was talking to her, and she recognized that she got reprimanded at work for something. And decades later, she's still shut down as an individual from her willingness to try particular things because of that. Like it's so far removed from her life now, but I don't want to experience that pain again. So I cut off options. And we can do the same thing when it comes to healing. So once it clicks that it's hard to heal a body if you have a broken heart. If you can heal the heart, often the body responds in a way that I can't get this thing off my chest. I feel like I have a pit in my stomach. I'm having a hard time taking a breath. There's this weight of the world on my shoulders. Like you're voicing emotional things that your body is feeling.
hmm
And once you can kind of recognize the connection between those two, there's one of my clients said it really well recently. She said, "Man, hope has been so good for my energy levels." Like we didn't change anything about her physiology. We just gave her hope, and it's like somebody turned up the dial of energy. There was this the yoke that had fallen off of her, and she was able to go at her day with more vigor because she believed she could now and
mm,
saw a path that was actually believable to her outcome. So that's part of my argument for yes, the, the thoughts are influential. And to your point, yes, we do have a kidney, we do have liver, and we do have purging systems. But if they are not activated, if you're not pooping at least once a day, hopefully twice, then we have a problem. You have a movement problem. There's one of the best ways to have a BM is to have movement in your day. Are you moving? Are you sweating? Are you it's at all this, are you drinking water? Are you sleeping? Are you resting? Are you go through the list of things that we all know we have to do. And if the list looks pretty bad, then there's a really good chance your kidneys and liver are backed up. They can't do their jobs.
hmm
And if you to the frame of reference you had earlier, if you've conflated fasting and eating into this ugly thing called low calorie dieting, and it hasn't clicked that that's not the path to healing, then yeah, you're going to endlessly be frustrated that you can't lose weight because your body's adapting to scarcity and it's holding on to everything. Throw some emotional friction on top of that, and it's no wonder people can eat hardly anything and not lose weight. And it's allowing that old paradigm of calories in, calories out to fall away that can get the liver back online, that can get the gallbladder back online, that can get the bowels moving, that can offload the weight and make it a semi-joyous, not so cynical, pessimistic experience of doing it. So anyway, there's my
Yeah.
response to that one.
That the concept of adaptation was one of the biggies for me. Uh,
Yeah.
I was teaching 9 spin classes a week and
Wow.
eating under 2,000 calories and not losing
Whoa.
weight and thinking something was extremely wrong with me. So what do we do when we think something's wrong, we're not losing weight, we're doing all the things, we add more, right? So
Hmm.
I started adding CrossFit 3 times a
Oh
week.
gosh.
And I still wasn't losing weight. I was like, something is wrong with me. And then I got pregnant with my son, and that was kind of like the first, I don't have to do this anymore. Like the first
Yeah.
relief. And then during my pregnancy is actually when I got certified as a personal trainer. And I learned this concept of your body is adapting to what you're doing, and because you keep doing it and adding more, that's why you are where you are.
Hmm.
And so,
Yeah.
yeah, that was a huge lesson for me.
Right. Your body wasn't
Yeah.
defective. Your method was.
Yes.
And once you're like, oh, the whole time it wasn't my body fighting me. No, your body wasn't fighting you.
Yeah.
The
And then,
advice was bad.
sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just the advice or perspective you were given was not healthy. That's what was
Yeah.
missing.
Yeah. And then the added piece of something's wrong with me.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
know,
that
we
creates the
we tend
emotional
to do
friction.
that. We tend to do that because dieters, and I'm talking like fad diets, like quick, lose 10 pounds in 30 seconds, that kind of thing.
You're right.
I know that that's not real, but um
If you cut your arm off,
most of the time they gain it back and then
yeah,
some,
yeah,
right?
right.
And they never blame the diet. They blame themselves.
Hmm. Yeah, or
And
they blame the diet and they just switch to a different diet and try the same
mhm,
method.
yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I'm such a nerd about this stuff. I love it.
Well, it's fun, and what's fun about health is it often is a window into similar patterns in other areas of our life.
Hmm.
Oh, I'm applying this perfectionism or this people pleasing or this pick the downside of your behavior to huh, my relationships. I'm applying it to how I show up at work. I'm applying it to the options I choose for myself in life. And maybe this personality quirk is what's not serving me, or maybe the strength it offers. I should maybe give some thought to the reciprocal weakness that it has, that it's impossible to please everyone and to do all of the things. And so I'm going to have to get choosy. And if I choose, then I have to wrestle with the emotion of cutting off options. And what does it say about me if I say no? And like those sometimes are the sticky widgets, but
Hmm.
it applies the best way I know of to reduce selfishness is to get married and have kids. Like, boy, that will put it right in your face real quick.
Yes.
Yep. Oh, all about me is out the window. This kid does not care
Yeah.
that I'm being inconvenienced right now, or
Yeah.
this woman in my life doesn't really, appreciate what I perceive to be my need and be more important. Like, no, that's just not how it works. And
Yeah.
you can own that. Gosh, it refines you well. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I would like to add to that, it also heals if you have an over obsessiveness with being a clean freak in your home.
Hmm.
Not when you have a toddler.
Oh, yeah. That's a great way to rid yourself of germophobia is to have a kid.
Yeah.
You can't dodge and weave and like hold your breath through the right moment to avoid all the germs. Like, they're here and you're not going to avoid them. So
Hmm.
let's take a deep breath and work from a first principle here that says this is about susceptibility, not about if there's a microbe and I can somehow avoid it. Like if I catch a cold, I take that as like, shoot, my defenses were down. That's the check engine light just came on and my body's about to go through an unscheduled detox. I don't want to really do that
Hmm.
right now, but that's I created the scenario where I was susceptible to that cold. And most of the time I'm not, but once in a while when it gets me, it's pretty obvious what I did. I cut into my sleep. I had too much sugar. I did whatever it is. I'm running
Yeah.
myself too hard. I'm living an unbalanced life. And the bill for that always comes due. And what it can do is if we keep running into the same wall, we can step back and say, could I work from some better principles here? Do I have to keep? That was my story way back when, 20 plus years ago, of frequently getting sick. I thought I knew what I was doing. When it came to working, I was working out like a boss and eating, in hindsight, eating crap and creating high stress, repetitive injuries and wear and tear on my body from not knowing as much as I thought I did about what I was doing in the gym and just get burned out early. In some ways, fortunately, I was young enough to get it back rather than in my 40s where it's the
Yeah.
setback is harder and harder to take, or 50s where you can still heal. It just takes longer. So yeah, sometimes it's just there's so many better ways to look at what we're doing and not keep running into the same wall if we're willing to humble ourselves and just say, you know what, I don't know everything. And for most people, that happens around age 35. That reality that they're not invincible finally hits them. They're willing to change. So, but I bet you've seen the
Yeah.
same thing.
I'm gonna take a left turn.
Okay, go
Kind
for
of.
it.
Kind of, sort of. And because you're human, I assume that you have stories.
Yes.
And so are you open and willing to share a story with the listeners of a time when either you overcame something super difficult or you had a shift in your mindset that stuck with you forever. Like it was maybe the first time it wasn't a temporary shift because we have like temporary shifts and then we have the
Hmm.
ones that are like, oh,
That click
got
on that won't go
it.
away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, so many of them. That the one that I mentioned earlier, just the shift in how I saw healthcare and the world of health in general, so nutrition. So that I couldn't unsee that, which when we hit COVID really shook up a lot in me because I understood agency capture and many things in one level, but I didn't understand it applied to pretty much every other industry, which kind of blew me away. So that was a rattling experience. Prior to that, though, the most difficult season of my life was my wife and I had to file bankruptcy. And I was 41, I had four kids at the time. I've got six now, but that is a dark night of the soul. It's not recommended. It's hard and you don't get to keep much. And so it's humbling, especially when it's public and people that you care about or who have invested in you are disappointed by what's happening. And
Hmm.
so, man, that humbling where I lived at the time in a city that was very high cost of living. And at that age or stage, there weren't many options for an income that would let us continue to homeschool without my wife having to get a second job. Or that job offer I got, they wouldn't let me get a second job. I'm like, I had my hands here. So my only option was to go live in a friend's farmhouse out in the country and rebuild from nothing. And talk about back to my frame earlier of selfishness. Like, it doesn't matter if the kids are hungry. It stinks to be you that you're bummed out about this. You have to go figure this out constantly. And so that crucible lasted about 3 years to rebuild out of ashes. And boy, you want something that'll test your mettle, that'll test your faith, that will test your willpower and constant, like it force feeds you your own shortcomings and
Mm.
asks you to deal with it. And if you like, fortunately, I guess you say, I had the kids who needed to eat. I couldn't, like, there wasn't time to wallow and poor me and pity party. I had to hustle constantly. And sometimes it meant going to like food banks. Sometimes it meant food stamps. It meant hard things. But your pride goes out the window and it really clarifies what's important in life and what's not. And the things that it takes so much to stress me out now that it's like I just don't sweat the small stuff much. And I have a really strong filter for what's important and what's not. And I wouldn't want to earn it that way again, but that that fortitude or that unwanted character formation and steep learning curve of growth was has done many good things for me. What I can say is if you're in a hard season like that, there is life on the other side of it. There's still a beautiful future that can be waiting. And it took being forced to change that I had kind of a clean slate at that point. Like I can reinvent myself anyway I want to at this point. Like I could
Yeah.
kind of, and it kept coming back to, so my wife and I had many hard conversations of what do you want to do? And it just kept coming back to, I want to create breakthroughs for people. I want to take people who are really, really stuck and show them they don't have to be. I love the juicy, tough transformation stories. Those are fun for me. When they've been through the ringer of all the doctors telling them they can't help and they've wasted money on these stupid programs and detox gimmicks or whatever it is. And to finally have the conversation, we're like, we can fix this, but it won't be 2 weeks. This might be 2 years, but
Yeah.
there's a path for you, and it's gonna it, and lean into it for who it will make you into, not for the weight you're gonna lose, not for the dress size or the whatever superficial materialistic thing. Lean into it for
Yeah.
who you become, and it changes your life. So that was my big defining story of figuring out who I really wanted to be. Like I want to be somebody who creates breakthroughs. And whether that's business, whether that's family, whether that's faith, whatever, just I want you to hit that rock bottom moment and know that you didn't exercise your last option yet. You thought you'd tried everything, but you actually haven't.
Mm.
And I create breakthroughs. That's what I do. I find people who, or they find me now at this point, but who have been so stuck and disappointed and wrung out by either the medical system or the alternative system. And I just coach the whole human now. I medical, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. That's the realm I play in all day. And I'm surgical with finding the problem and then helping them find the courage to face the problem. And some people go quickly and some people they take a while. But it doesn't matter to me. That's their journey. And I just get to be a guide and I get paid to be curious and ask questions now. And it's fun work.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do one of these. Hold on, let me see if it did it show.
I got a
It-
yes, I got a party. Okay. I don't know what to call that, but the little party.
To
Oh,
me,
what
it
is?
says celebration.
Yeah, celebrate. I got the celebration emoji. Yes. Thank you. So yeah,
You're welcome.
yeah.
So I
So
imagine life is completely different for you now than it was before the bankruptcy.
yeah, it's different. I got two more kids and I've relocated to a different state. COVID really,
Mm.
back to my early frame, shifted a lot of how I thought about things. And like there's a we probably all know, I don't think there's anybody who's like, the media would never lie to us. We kind of all have this sense of like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. Just something feels off. Like, and we start, there's so much distrust. Doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum, because we just don't trust them. And
Yeah.
so that kind of, that distinguishing reality from what we call in the news official reality, like the approved confines of what we're supposed to think, from what's really going on, helped me step back and say, my job is also Papa Bear. I have to protect these kids, not just provide for them. I have to plan the investment of my time, money, energy, and emotion in a in line with reality, not with what they want me to think now. And so that led us from Virginia to Florida. That led us to finding and rolling up our sleeves and doing our best to lean into community and finding our people and being in some ways my wife's way better at this than me, but going out of our way to make sure that we give first with no attachment to return. We're just here to serve and love and be helpful in any ways that we can and to invest in our people. And so it clicked us into a gear of like, I don't know what's going to happen, but we're going to need that. Because
Yeah.
we saw how powerfully that helped us when we were at our rock bottom. The number of people that came around us, the check that showed up in the mail, the food that showed up on the front door, the kind words and encouragement and visits
Mhm.
that we did not solicit, but people just wanted us to know that they had not forgotten us. And we only made it through that season because of other people and because of community, because of the equity that we had built in other people. And that, the law of sowing and reaping came back to us. And we just want to be sowers. We just want to, like, we don't care about reaping. We just want to sow wherever we can and be helpful wherever we can. So that it was a philosophical shift as much as it was anything. So that's it. Yeah, my kids are quite busy. I think it's the joke that homeschoolers are not socialized is hilarious to me. They are, oh my gosh, the amount of social interaction is probably outpaces many public schools. They have so much to do and so many friends and are such well-adjusted humans. And yeah, that was one thing we were not going to give up is like we will not raise public school kids, as I've seen too many parents where they don't know their kids anymore. They're estranged, and it's like they've spent 18 years doing hard work so they could just have kids that don't want to see them anymore.
Mm,
And I don't want to be that. Success to me looks like raising a family as best I can and not being estranged from them when they're older. And they want to come back and be part of my life. Like that's success to me. And I don't see a path to that within the public school model. It's just not.
mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's hard choices, but yeah, it's a different life than a lot of people. I'm an outlier in many ways and probably have minority opinions on a lot of things, but I found my way and I found something that works for us. And um, so I get to work from home rather than in a studio, and I get to be present in the mornings and evenings and as
Mhm.
much as I can. And with six of them, it's hard to always have dates with all of them, but do
Yeah.
what you can.
Yeah. I love all of that. And what stuck out the most for me is connection with other people,
Hmm.
which is actually one of my pillows of health is connect the beast. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's so much part of our mental and physical health to have connection, nice,
Hmm.
healthy connections, I should add that,
Yeah.
to other people because we're not meant to be in this world alone. So,
No, no, that's a contradiction in terms as a solitary human. Like that's just not. You want to break anyone, they just throw them in solitary confinement. You'll go loco. Well, If we're the for a lot of people, the counterintuitive way to have friends is to be one first. Don't wait for someone else to do something nice for you. Go find someone else and serve them. And don't keep a record of it. There's no ledger that you should be keeping. I did 10 nice things for this person and they don't even call me back. Like, who cares? Keep serving. If they don't, then you might find someone else, but keep serving and loving and giving because everyone's going through something and everyone could use some encouragement. So be that word to them. Let them know that they are seen, and you'll be shocked or not how much it comes back to you, especially when you need it. And is it effort to find your friends? Yes. Find something of value in this world, especially something of high value,
Mm.
that comes without effort. Nothing. Like it all does. Even you win the lottery, most people go broke. They don't know what to do with that much money. So invest in things that are, yes, they're going to be effort. But when you start weighing them on what does a well-lived life look like, it's not made a lot of money, had no friends. It's not won the gold medal at the Olympics, but I was broke after that. And or we friends, faith, uh, health, and vocation or finance. Those are the big ones. If we have some modest success in those, life feels really kind. But all of them take investment. And so it's
Mhm.
relationship. So yeah, you got to connect the beast. You are totally right. If the beast is unconnected, the beast goes loco. They have way
Yep.
too many cats, and they get really weird when they're
I have
too
a lot of
separated.
cats.
Yeah. Well, there
You're
not
like, you're an
everyone.
exception.
Yeah, maybe. Hopefully, I suspect so. But yeah,
Oh,
some
that's,
people have 17 cats and they live by themselves, and they wonder why nobody wants to come over. Like,
I know, right? I
yeah,
only have 7 at the moment, but
okay,
that's it.
yeah.
Anyway.
But you have family. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
not
have
just you.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, well, I have one more question for you, and
Okay.
you may have just answered it, but I'm going to ask anyway. Um, if you had one piece of advice that you could give to the world, what would it be?
I only get to pick one.
You can pick 2 if you'd
I can
like,
pick two. Well, I
or
might even.
3.
I jokingly say I think I have terminal verbosity. I can just keep talking if people let me. Um, yeah. One. I guess I don't like to miss an opportunity to point to the faith element of life if I get to pick one because I think if we don't have satisfactory answers to the biggest questions of our existence, then I think we're going to kind of flounder in life, or we'll keep searching and wondering why things feel hollow or empty or there's something missing or I just can't put my finger on it. And to me, the highest level questions of life, there's more than four, but I'll give you four. There's where did we come from? What happens when we die? Who sets the standards for morals and ethics? And what is the nature of being human? If we don't have answers to those types of questions that are just not just emotionally satisfying, but intellectually satisfying, then I think it's hard to pin ourselves down with purpose. And to me, the people I see who are the most rudderless in life don't really have a worldview that that they just settle into and is them. And once you kind of find your way, I come from a Christian perspective, so that's my frame of reference for it. So I don't know how every other worldview attempts to answer that. I just know there's a deep breath where my soul gets to rest when
Mm.
I answer those questions. And they're so satisfying that it fills my days with purpose. Yes, I have kids that need to eat, and so that is another source of purpose. But beyond, I can't imagine ever retiring or being in a place where I'm like, I don't know what to do with myself. Like this is, I'm always going to be making stuff and trying to help people, and until it's time for me to be done. And I get that frame of passion and purpose from the worldview that says I'm here for a reason, and my efforts do matter. They do echo through eternity, and so let me be faithful and on mission with my day. So that would be a long way of answering your simple one question. But that the summary is don't go agnostic. Don't spend the time to think hard about what it means to be young in this world and where it came from, and go upstream far enough to find the answers. And it's a peaceful place, I think.
Mm. Beautiful.
Well, thanks.
Beautiful beasts. Christian Elliott signing off. Until next time.